Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we bring you the latest news, information and analysis on what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Today I want to talk about something that's rather pressing in the global financial system, and it's likely to have a major impact. Now, the USA, the EU and the UK, plus the countries of the G7, have decided that the established rules of law laid down over the last 2 millennia into the Judeo-Christian law based on the Ten Commandments given to Moses by God no longer apply. And I don't mean do not cover your neighbour's ass or even his wife's ass. What I mean is the commandment that's been the legal basis for doing business for over 2,000 years, which is thou shalt not steal, and that has been the basis for property and financial law over that time. It's led to the City of London and its courts being recognised as a place for settling disputes on property, financial and commercial matters. Now, this has now been shown to be a charade. Thou shalt not steal obviously does not now apply to Russian sovereign assets or the property and property rights of Russians in the world. The US, the UK and EU have frozen Russian assets for the last 2 years and now intend to seize them and use them for the benefit of the Ukraine, which is not a member of the EU, NATO or any of their other affiliated organisations, but a proxy in the US war with Russia. Now the situation is that the European Union has set its sights on the income from frozen Russian assets, with the relevant decision coming into force on 23rd of May. So who will lose more from this, Russia or the countries that have decided to steal somebody else's property? Well, the EU Council has approved a decision that will see 90% of the proceeds from Russia's frozen assets transferred to provide military assistance to Kiev and European programs for the restoration of Ukraine. Now, the remaining 10% will be retained by the depositories where the funds are located, to ensure their own risks, legal or otherwise. Now, these funds can be stored for 5 years, after which they will also then go to the EU budget if they are not needed. Furthermore, only 0.3% can be used for asset management purposes. Concurrently, the European Commission anticipates that depositories will furnish an annual report on the number of Russian assets and amount, including the income, on their balance sheets. Now, additionally, instruments for financially supporting Ukraine using this money will be reviewed annually. Now, in the United States, there's only a small part there, about $4 to $45 billion. Almost all of it's in Europe. The main custodian is the largest settlement and clearing centre, Euroclear, in Belgium. So it was there that the Russian financial authorities entrusted the major part of the reserves. Now, the company specialises in working with foreign government assets and has been renowned for its reliability over the years and has a maximum level of trust. However, the situation as it unfolded did. Immediately after the freeze, discussions commenced regarding the potential confiscation of these funds by foreign countries for various purposes. However, no actual agreement could be reached as the topic is so highly contentious. The United States is very in favour of its confiscation and even has recommended its president to initiate this process after it was passed by Congress. European officials are taking a bit more cautious approach. They're concerned that the high-profile move could be illegal. Well, of course it is, and it could have far-reaching consequences. The head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, has also warned about legal risk and the potential violations of international law involved in using Russian funds. Well, if you can't spend it, use the earnings. So the depositories do not keep other people's money for no reason. They make money from it. They invest in assets that are necessarily highly reliable, low yielding, and receive a percentage of growth in their value. In essence, just an investment process. Now, however, as most of you are aware, the influence of greed and political pressure can always override economic and legal considerations. The EU Council has determined that the interest is not a sovereign asset and being classified as a windfall and extraordinary income. This means that it doesn't fall under the rules of the protection of sovereign assets. The Financial Times estimates that the earnings could be around 20 billion euros. and a portion of the earnings must be remitted to the Belgian budget in the form of taxes, while the depository retains a portion of the proceeds in the form of fees for its services. Now, the advice of economists and lawyers have been in pretty much a disagreement about the advisability of touching somebody else's property, as in theft. It's not actually been listened to by the politicians. Now, despite the lack of consensus amongst European EU countries on the merits of this course of action until the very last moment, it's not actually clear whether they intend to just seize the income of the hair and will it be implemented. However, if it does occur, a precedent will be set and the consequences are unknown. I mean, this could be serious. I mean, Russia's warned about it several times. I mean, they have to understand the potential consequences of their actions, and they've chosen to proceed with the scaled-back version of the original plan. But it's still effectively expropriation, says Dmitry Peskov, who's the Russian presidential press secretary. Now, even if we consider the potential impact of not removing the reserves themselves, but the income generated, then the consequences could still be significant. According to Oleg Abelev, who's head of the analysis at the Raikom Trust investment company, this dangerous precedent will be created for other countries that may follow this example outside the context of the European Union and the relationship between Russia and the EU. I mean, in Russia, it's in its interest to take retaliatory measures, and they've already discussed that. And certain things have happened. Look at Deutsche Bank and Unicredit in St. Petersburg. I mean, could be a similar demand for Ukraine's national debt immediate repayment as it owes money to Russia. It owes about $3 billion in the last loan as a default. I mean, I know it's believed that countries that hold the reserves in central banks or invest in securities issued by other countries that issue major currencies, as well as the balances in correspondent banks in countries around the world, are going to be affected by this precedent. They've got to worry. So, I mean, this could be the most significant impact on the global economy. I mean, all the other considerations are secondary. I mean, it's not worth talking about countermeasures from Russia and how much. I mean, it's basically, are we going to see a meltdown in the global financial system if this happens? I mean, the amount within the budgets of the European Union countries is actually small. It's the reputational damage and the reduction in the share of the euro in the reserves of developing countries. And that's going to lead to higher inflation in the Eurozone and possibly bankruptcy of a number of banks. Now, the willingness of the European bureaucrats to undermine their economies in pursuit of our political goals is obviously pretty evident, and it's obvious that the Ukraine issues cannot be resolved like this. I mean, the 3 billion euros from the Russian assets is a fraction of the 92 billion that they're having to fork out for the Ukrainian budget this year. So, why are they doing it? Furthermore, given the prevailing corruption and disorder in Ukraine, it's unlikely that the money will actually do anything without being misappropriated, however. Anyway, so that's what's happening in the world of the stealing of the Russian assets, and I hope you've enjoyed that short video. Please like and subscribe, and I will hopefully you'll visit the website scobricsinsight.com, and I shall see you all again in the very near future. So I look forward to seeing you and talking to you again soon.